That gloomy corner of your garden, the one you've ignored for years, dismissing it as dead space and walking around it, isn't a waste of land at all. In fact, it is a dormant gold mine of food sitting right on your property, simply because no one has told you which plants actually thrive there. The truth is, there are at least 11 types of vegetables that don't just survive on a mere 2 to 4 hours of sunlight. Many of them actually produce yields that are sweeter, more flavorful, and more tender than if they were forced to struggle under the harsh, direct sun. There are even two varieties on this list that will outright refuse to grow if you place them in direct sunlight. Let's explore why shade is actually a blessing rather than an obstacle. Most gardeners grow spinach, but very few plant it in the right place at the right time. Consequently, they often mistake it for a short-season crop that inevitably turns bitter and bolts by May or June. In reality, the issue isn't the plant, it's the environmental conditions. Spinach triggers an emergency reproduction signal when two factors collide: soil temperatures exceeding 24 degrees Celsius, 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and increasing day length. In the shade, soil temperatures are typically 4 to 6 degrees cooler than in open areas. This small margin is the critical boundary that keeps the plant in its comfort zone rather than the bolting zone. While a sun-exposed bed might fail by May, a shaded one can provide harvests well into July. Second on the list, Swiss chard, the relentless production machine. Swiss chard doesn't just tolerate shade, it often prefers it over full sun. As a biennial plant, it feels no pressure to flower or produce seeds during its first year. Instead, it directs every ounce of its energy into developing lush leaves and sturdy stalks. When grown in the shade, Swiss chard displays several superior qualities. Vibrant colors. The stalks retain a more brilliant hue because they aren't faded by intense UV rays. Superior texture. The leaves remain tender and less fibrous as the plant doesn't need to toughen its tissues to withstand heat stress. By utilizing the outer leaf harvest method, a single well-maintained Swiss chard plant in a shaded spot can yield up to 4.5 kilograms of greens throughout the season, an incredible output from a space you once considered useless. Third on the list, lettuce, the sweet taste of spring in the heart of summer. Lettuce has an extremely shallow root system, sitting only within the top 5 to 7 centimeters of the soil. This is precisely where shade is most effective, providing concentrated cooling where it's needed most. To succeed in these conditions, you should skip head-forming or harding varieties like iceberg, as they require a vast amount of light energy to develop their dense internal structures. Instead, opt for loose-leaf varieties such as black-seeded Simpson or buttercrunch. The shade does more than just prevent the bitterness caused by heat stress. It keeps the leaves as crisp and sweet as if they were being grown in the middle of spring, even when the calendar says July. Fourth on the list, radishes, quality over speed. In the shade, radishes take about 15 to 20 days longer to reach maturity compared to those grown in full sun. However, this is an incredibly beneficial trade-off. Slow growth in cool soil results in a dense cellular structure, producing a crisp crunch and a signature mild spice. This stands in stark contrast to sun-grown radishes, which often become pithy, hollow, or overwhelmingly pungent. Furthermore, radishes serve as excellent marker plants. Since they germinate so rapidly, you can sow them in the same rows as other slow-germinating shade crops. They will help you identify the layout of your rows, preventing you from accidentally hoeing or disturbing the area while the primary seeds are still underground. Fifth on the list, peas, sweetness from root to tip. Peas have a very rigid temperature threshold. Once the soil rises above 24 degrees Celsius, they cease production. Shade helps you extend your harvest window by an additional 3 to 5 weeks. Peas grown in cooler, shaded spots are consistently sweeter because the conversion of sugar into starch is slowed down by the lack of heat stress. Notably, peas are nitrogen fixers. They feed the soil by pulling nitrogen from the air and depositing it into the earth through symbiotic bacteria. In a shaded area, where nutrients are often competed for by the roots of larger trees, planting peas is the most natural and cost-free way to fertilize your soil. 7th on the list, green onions, a continuous supply. Shade may slow down the growth rate of green onions, but it keeps their flavor profile remarkably stable. While onions grown in the summer sun often develop a harsh, aggressive pungency, those grown in the shade maintain a mild, fresh taste. Since we harvest the stalks rather than waiting for large bulbs to form, high-intensity sunlight is unnecessary. You can simply plant them once and harvest continuously throughout the year. 8th on the list, beets, tender and sweeter. The earthy taste of beets comes from a compound called geosmin, which increases significantly when the plant is heat-stressed. Beets grown in the shade have lower concentrations of geosmin, resulting in a more delicate, refined sweetness. While the roots might not grow as large as those in full sun, the superior tenderness and consistent quality will more than make up for it. Don't forget to harvest the beet greens as well. They are among the most nutrient-dense vegetables on the planet. 9th on the list, cilantro, the solution to the bolting obsession. If there is one vegetable I recommend you must grow in the shade, it is cilantro. The biggest challenge with cilantro is its tendency to bolt, or flower, and ruin its leaves after just 2 weeks of heat and sun. Shade fundamentally solves this problem, extending your leaf harvest window to 6 to 10 weeks. This is a revolutionary change for anyone who loves this herb. Gardening isn't about forcing every plant to stand under the sun for 8 hours a day. Smart gardening is about understanding the biology of each plant to place them exactly where they can shine. Your shaded corner isn't a flaw. It's the perfect missing piece to create a productive and sustainable garden. If you found these insights helpful, hit subscribe now. Every week, I share battle-tested experiences based on plant biology to help you solve the most practical problems in your garden.